Hi everyone. So in today's lesson we will learn how to set up a project in React using TypeScript, manage the global state using Zustand, and for the server side we will work with Firebase Firestore using React query. So let's start setting up a project in Firebase. We will create a new project. We'll call it CRUD with FB Firebase. Yes, we will disable the analytics. Create project. Meanwhile, let's create a new project. I am using the terminal. Yes, CD desktop. And I am using npm create vite. Okay, the project name is CRUD in React TypeScript. We will enter the project and install the necessary libraries. Okay, and we will also install the libraries we will use today with npmi. We will need React, Query, Firebase, and Zustand. Okay. In the meantime, let's confirm the project. Today, in this tutorial, we will be utilizing the powerful Firestore from Firebase. So let's create a new database. Okay, we will choose location, Europe. Okay. Let's refresh. There's a bug in Firebase, but it does create the database, and we will open the permissions for read and write. We will change the value from false to true and confirm with publish. Okay, the next step is we want to create a React application. We are using the web. Okay, let's give it a name. Register up. Okay, this is the code we need. Let's copy it and confirm. Okay, let's open the project in Visual Code. Desktop CRUD application. Okay, I want to create a few folders here in the source. The first folder will be used for components. We will create another folder for the services. We will definitely create another one for the store. Okay, so in the services, I want to first create the Firebase config file. We will call it Firebase config of type TypeScript tis. We will copy here the code we took from Firebase. Okay, so since we are working with TypeScript, we need a few changes here. First of all, we need to import the interface of the Firebase app. Let's remove the commenting. We will expose some very crucial and beneficial functionality from the Firebase Firestore folder, which plays a significant role in app development. There, we will need get Firestore here and Firestore. Okay, we will wrap the Firebase app in this section. In our application, establishing a connection to the database is crucial for data management and retrieval. This connection, which we will refer to as DB, will be of the type Firestore app, ensuring efficient data handling. That's all we need to set up Firebase. Basically, what we will do today is a simple CRUD create, read, update, delete, and on. This is, for example, using users, how to add users, how to read, how to update, and how to delete. So we will actually need two components. One we will call users list of type TSX. The second one, we will create a component for adding users. We will call it add user. Okay, and we will create one more component, which we will call user item, which will essentially represent each user in the array of users. Let's add the essential basic code using the RAFC snippet to the user item, add user, and user list, ensuring all necessary details are included. Okay, and that's what we'll do for now. Let's add some bootstrap to the application. Okay, we just want to take this line of CSS and actually insert it into the main index.html. And that's it. Okay, so let's start with the server calls. We want to use React query. So in services, we will create a new file of type TypeScript. Let's call it, for example, user service of type TypeScript. And here we are going to write all the CRUD functionality. So let's first initialize the database within the config file we created. We will need the DB from there. Additionally, let's import some functions from Firestore. So from Firebase Firestore. And from there we will need the collection to capture the collection, get docs to retrieve all the documents of the users, add doc to add, update to update, delete to delete, to get a single document. And additionally, we will also need the document data. Okay. So we want to start by first creating some reference to our collection. We'll call it users collection ref. We'll refer to the collection, to the DB, and to the collection that we'll call users. Okay, now we'll create all four functions that we need: create, retrieve, update, and delete. We will, of course, export all of them with export const. Let's start with the first one, create user. Okay, we will first want to create the user interface. Okay, now we can create it in the store. Yes, essentially create our store that will be used for Zustand. Let's call it our user store. Okay, and I want to start with the interface. Let's create an interface, generate it, and call it user. It will essentially receive an ID of type string. It will have a first name, also a string. Last name, email, let's say phone, and position in the company. Okay, that's all we need for now. Let's return to the user service, implement the interface. So, import from, we need to exit the service folder, store, use user store, and there we have the user, which is the user interface. Okay, so back to the code. We actually want to create a new user. Okay, we will use omit, because when we create the user, we don't provide the ID. So we provide everything except the ID. Refer to the user, except for the ID, of course. We will use promise and document data in our upcoming project. Okay, we want to return head doc, refer to the user collection, and add the user. Okay, Let's see that we did something. Export const, create async. We are exporting user, omit to user, ID. Let's close this here. Excellent. And this is unnecessary. Okay, let's continue to read to get users. Again, rec post const. I want to get all the users. Fetch users. Again, async. We are referring again to the promise. And we actually want to receive an array of the user. Okay, so let's create a variable. We'll call it snapshot. It will actually wait for get docs within the user collection reference. After we have the snapshot, we can actually run a map. Okay, for those familiar with Firebase, the ID is stored separately and the data itself is stored separately. We need to merge them. Let's create a doc. Okay, so first we want to take the data. We'll call it data. It's found in doc data as user. Additionally, we want to return the ID as well. We'll use the spread operation and add to it the ID docid. Okay, so that's the functionality to get all the data from Firebase. Let's move on. We want to create a function for update. Okay, so again, async. We want to update the user according to the ID. Okay, and all the user information we will store in the variable update. We'll use the partial type partial. It might be that not all the information will be updated. And additionally, we'll omit. Okay, because we are not updating the ID, we will write user ID. Okay, and here we have again a promise with void. All this points. So what we want to do here is essentially update the user according to the ID. So const, first of all, false the doc of the specific user. Okay, db user ID, and we will update it with wait. Update doc. User docs, and I edited. Okay, this is the update function. Let's move to the latest one. This is built as export const. Billet user update. It receives an ID of type string. And there's no promise to avoid in this world that we all must face and experience every day. Also, we want to catch the specific use on this file again and refer to wait. Delete, well, let's display user doc. This is all the functionality of the code in terms of Firebase. Let's start working on the store file of the state. So first of all, we want to import the create from the Zustand and create an additional interface which we will call user store. It will hold all the functionality of the state update, including we will want an array of users. Additionally, add functionality to set user, meaning to read the users, and essentially use a user variable when it comes to void. We will also release head user when it comes to void. Update user, which receives a specific ID and additionally receives all the update details. Partial user and kill delete user also receives an ID casting and is converted to void. Okay, so in update, it's read here, update user, it receives ID 16, incorrect closure here, it should be here. This is the user store. We can also actually create the functionality itself. So let's do it. Everything const, we'll call it user story. So I'll use create user store. Okay. We'll define set for it. Here you can define all the functionalities. So in order, starting with users, which is an array type, we started as an array only. We have set users. Yes, that will receive users. After obtaining the necessary data, proceed to transfer it to the setUsers function, ensuring that all parameters are correctly passed and handled. Additionally, we have addUser will receive a user. Bring it to the set. We'll proceed to update the state. We'll receive users. Want to post the existing state of the users and add the user to them. Okay. Also, for update user, we'll receive an ID and the update, which we already handle. In set state, users, state, users. If we perform a filter on the user, and essentially check whether that user ID exists or does not exist. The user, I wanted the state pasta. Okay, so state users filter user is not equal to D. We are going for an update. Sorry, I meant user. We want to perform a filter on the user state user. We want to edit, and in the specific and particular user, we are looking for the user. And actually, in the search itself, we check if there is a user. With this ID, if it definitely exists, we want to update the user. If it's new, okay, and if it does not exist, then leave the user as it is. Let's tidy up here a bit. You know what I'm going to say. We said update user, we provide an ID, meaning by which ID to find the user. The details of the update, we back it up to the state. We back it up to the user. We want to map over the user's data. There we will find, create a temporary user variable, backup. Check if user ID equals the ID. If it exists, a shortened if. If it exists, we want to update the existing user with the new information. If it doesn't exist, leave the user as is, right? We need one like this here. Exactly.